So Nintendo Directs are usually known for having some insanely exciting announcements in them, but honestly, some of my favorite parts are just seeing small downloadable games that I could possibly get a lot of enjoyment out of. The Direct in November of 2015 was a pretty typical one, except for the bombshell announcement near the end, but anyway, there was a small little game show known as Typo Man, and it caught my attention right away because of its art style, kind of like how Child of Light did, and how it was using the construction of words as part of the actual gameplay. And since it was coming out as a Wii U exclusive and I didn't have much else on my plate at the time, I picked it up day one and gave it a shot. What are my opinions? Well, that's what this is for. The game was $14 when I picked it up, and it makes it the typical price of a downloadable game. But there's also a lot of really good games for that price. So can Typo Man compete with the other kings and queens of the eShop? Let's find out. You guys feeling a draft or something? So Typo Man begins with a bunch of letters being put together that form our hero, Hero. A very original name, I know. But from the very moment he's born, everything in this world wants to start killing him. So Scott Pilgriming his way through the world, he must keep traveling until he's truly safe. And that's literally all the plot you're gonna get. I'm serious, there's so much that isn't explained, it's baffling. What is this world? Why is everything made of letters? Who are these monsters and why do they want to kill me so badly? Who is this lady and why does she have magical powers? What happened in this place to make it a wasteland? These are all questions Typo Man laughs at and gives no explanation for. And I'm left very unsatisfied because of that. I just want to know what's going on in this world, but it does nothing to provide that. I do get the message thanks to the end of the game being a bit more clear on things, but when you can't really tell what's going on, I found it to not have a big impact and very, very forgettable as a result. The presentation does do a better job than the story. The game, with its dark and sharp design, keeps a very strong sense of fear and dread throughout your adventure, and it makes you feel unsafe in the open. The only time you'll feel comfort is when you see the color yellow, and it does a great job of representing hope and security. I like how a lot of the objects in the world are made of letters, spikes, ropes, bridges, and it makes it for a very cool look that stands out. I also like the fear that can be brought out in Typo Man because of these layers, such as red representing harmful words, and how your vision can be distorted at different times, which really feels like the Scarecrow fear toxin from Batman. I also really enjoyed the sound effects in the game. They all have this feeling like they were ripped right out of a horror film, and it made me feel really tense at times, especially when anything sharp was involved. However, I wish I could say the same for the music or the frame rate. The music I felt was almost non-existent, and I can't even remember a single track from the game. And it feels like the game is trying so hard to run at 60 FPS, but it ends up going down to 30, 20, sometimes even down to single digits. So while I think the music and the frame rate are definitely I think the rest of the presentation more than makes up for it. So how's the gameplay in this homicidic alphabetic world? The gameplay of Typo Man is fairly simple when you get down to it. You have to keep going right in order to progress, but stopping you along the way is various puzzles that you will need to perform. If you ever played the game Limbo, you'll be very familiar with how Typo Man is structured, because it's very similar. You can do jumping for basic platforming in the game, but the real meat of the game is the wordplay and puzzles. Letters are all over and you can either pick them up or throw them around or push them. Put them together to form a word and various actions will occur. If the letters aren't in the correct order, you can use the Wii U gamepad to adjust them, which actually is not a bad use for it, honestly. There are also obstacles you will need to watch out for, such as lasers that destroy letters, guns that attack you, monsters that will chase you, and various other stuff. Hero dies from one hit, but you do have infinite lives. Though sadly, you're gonna have to most likely start the section all over again. The one group of words that should be noted are positive words, such as hope or truth. These surround you with a yellow light that protects you from all harm. Besides the word lasers, which I don't get. But anyway, that's Typo Man in terms of the gameplay. So, what good is there in this bleak world of typing? So Typo Man has little things throughout that I really did enjoy. For one, I love the use of the wordplay. such as the words being rearranged to have a new meaning, or combining words to change the environment. It's one of the things that caught my eye right away about the game, and I enjoyed it throughout my adventure, and it was really awesome. I also enjoyed the art style as well. I love dark environments that have a very big simplicity to them, and having everything as if they're letters from a typewriter is a really cool look. And when the game has really creative puzzles, I had a lot of fun with them, such as when you have to use this cannon to attack, or when you had to use pits in order to move around this area. That was really fun, but the creativity in this game doesn't last forever. Typo Man really does feel like it's rushed, and not clean around the edges, which led to most of its problems in my opinion. For one, basic platforming can be outright painful, I swear. I had to get to the very edge of platforms most of the time just to have the chance of landing on them. And on some of these, if you fail them, you're going all the way back to the beginning of the section, which really sucks. And while I do love the art style, I wish that some of these letters had outlining to them. Or more if Hero had an outline to him, it would help a lot. Since almost everything is the same shade of black, and with most of the game's backgrounds being very dark and bleak, I had a hard time tracking word platforms and Hero himself, which caused a lot of deaths when I needed to react at a moment's notice. And then there's a major issue. One simple thing that kills almost all challenge in the game for me. See, on the gamepad you have this question mark that once you tap it, it gives you a bit of text that has a correct word in it. If you tap it again, it highlights the word that you need for the puzzle. It gives you the answer to the puzzle. Let me repeat, it gives you the answer for the puzzle. And there's no punishment for using it either. You can use it on every puzzle in the game with no side effect. This kills a huge amount of the challenge for me in these puzzles, and it makes it feel really lifeless, and honestly, doesn't challenge your brain at all. Now sure, you can make the argument that you can just not use it, but think of it as if you're taking a test, and the teacher gives you the answer sheet while you're still taking it, and will allow you to use it just fine on the test. Sure, you can just do it normally, but come on, if you have all the answers at your fingertips, you're just gonna do the easier method that gives you the same result. With this oversight, all the player does in most puzzles is just put the letters together. Which true, sometimes that can be a puzzle in itself, but a huge part of the challenge in this game is gone because of that, and not many of the puzzles feel rewarding because of it. Well, except for the one in the final boss. Now usually I keep these reviews spoiler free, but I want to talk about this because it brings up a point. So if you don't want to be spoiled, go to this time spot or click the annotation. I'll give you a bit. Alright, here we go. In the final boss, you need to use a letter machine in order to create good words that harm the final boss. But that question mark doesn't pop up in this fight, and you need to be fast at this before the boss can wake up. So you need to take the letters that are here and need to create the word as fast as possible. See, more stuff like this I felt would have benefited the game a lot more, and I felt very satisfied during this part of the game. Typo Man is also ridiculously short. It's only about 2 to 3 hours long, even on your first playthrough. And sadly, there's absolutely nothing to do after you beat the game. No new game plus, no new challenge maps, no reason to pick the game up again after the main quest. Which, considering the price tag of the game, I can't help but feel like there's not enough content to justify that price tag. Typo Man was definitely a title I was interested in, and I was really excited to start playing it. But from the intro load time, which is also insanely long, to the end credits, I felt almost nothing throughout my experience, and with all the problems I stated, I think it makes the game, ultimately, forgettable. Typo Man is definitely a game I felt that had a lot of potential, but because of a lot of overlooked details, it ends up being a very unappealing title. A story that's almost non-existent and unfulfilling, and barely having any replay value, makes it not stand out in my eyes. And giving the player all the answers in a puzzle game removes the fun of a puzzle game, solving the puzzles by yourself. And its high cost with very little content makes it very hard to recommend. I'm not saying that I hated the game, but I was more bored than anything else. I just felt lifeless playing this game, which for me is definitely not what I want to be feeling when I play a game. 14 bucks is way too much, especially for other games on the eShop that run for $15 and pack way more content. So Typo Man, I can only recommend if it goes on sale for maybe 5 bucks at best. Typo Man needed to do some proofreading before it released. I know that was a terrible pun. Shut up, this is hard. You know that feeling when you felt like you were sold the wrong game when you watched the trailers and then played the game? That's kind of me with Typo Man. It wasn't awful, but it really wasn't that great or good either, if that makes any sense. I still think there's a lot of potential for these developers, but please, take your time with the next project. Okay, I see you for your screen. Why are you looking at me all weird? Is it my... Ah! What is that? What happened to my... everything? I don't have a neck. Ow, no neck, ow. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. If you liked the video down below so I know, that you liked the video. If you want to see my previous review of Child of Light, check the video on the left. If you're new to the channel and want to see my other reviews, check out the playlist on the right. If you want to follow me, check me out on Facebook and Twitter because I update them quite frequently. Or if you want to support me directly, go to my Patreon. By the way, thank you to Soul Ninja Star, Arcana, and Shy Ranger for being my top patrons. Thank you guys, you're awesome! Now if you excuse me, I gotta figure out a way to get back to my normal self. This might take a while.